Hello, everybody, and welcome to Smart with Your Money Live. I'm Chase Peckham, the Director of Community Outreach and Education at the San Diego Financial Literacy Center, the education arm of DebtWave Credit Counseling. And as we are every other week, I'm joined by Felipe Arevalo, although Felipe has been riding solo on these the last couple times out because I've had conflicts, but I'm so happy to be back. And today, obviously, we're talking, Felipe, about things that are on a lot of people's mind and have been for quite a while.
Yeah, it's student loans. I mean, student loans have been a topic of conversation for people who have student loans, and honestly, for people who don't have student loans. And it's definitely a hot topic, and it's lots of moving parts, lots of moving pieces. So, we'll try and cover student loan forgiveness, the explanation, updates, where are we now, and everything that goes along with that. So,
and I think we all know and understand that it's a moving situation here. So,
yes,
what we say today could change in a
by
week
next
or two.
week.
So,
right. So let's get started. First, you want to celebrate $20,000 forgiven. Is it being forgiven? Well, we'll see. We'll cover all of it. There's a lot going on with student loans, but $20,000 could be getting forgiven soon. So how it started, August 24th, 2022, the Biden administration announced partial student loan forgiveness, which it's a lot of money, $20,000 off your student loans. So
quite a bit.
Yeah. So the 10 to 20,000 depends on what bracket you fall into. How much is being forgiven? Well, $10,000 for people making less than $125,000 or households making less than $250,000, and $20,000 for those of you who got the Pell Grant while you were in school. So you get double the forgiveness if there was more financial aid needed at the time of taking out the student loans.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And in fact, it's so much money that 20 million people could see their entire balance forgiven. That's a lot. That's a good deal. They have their whole balance forgiven, whatever's remaining of it anyways.
It's not a good deal for those of us who just paid those things off not too long ago.
Well, that would be the argument, but that's an argument for a different Swim Live. Or maybe a podcast episode. It's a good deal for people who fall into that category. And then 43 million total borrowers will have some kind of forgiveness. Those are people who have more, a higher balance than that amount that's being forgiven. So that's a lot. And you'll see that majority of the forgiveness is happening for individuals with less than $75,000 worth of income. So it really does go to some of the lower income recipients.
Which is what the idea was built for.
The idea was, yeah. It also makes changes to the income-driven repayment plan. For undergrad loans, it'll reduce the amount due from 10 to 5%. So basically, it'll allow for lower income-driven repayment plan payments. It'll raise the non-discretionary income to $225,000 100% of the poverty rate. So anyone making less will have no payments. Basically, it'll be easier for people who go on income-driven repayment plans to end up with no payment at all. And that's a good thing, because this is supposed to be a program that'll help you get on the public student loan forgiveness, but also that will help people who are having a hard time making their student loan payments for whatever reason, get that payment down to an amount that's much more manageable.
Right. So this isn't a new thing. I mean, the forgiveness is an idea, but that there has been ways through the income-driven repayment plans to help those that are in need that can lower their payments. And there's a number of different programs that you can fall under depending on what you do and what your income is. But so if you're already on that plan, it can even affect that a little bit more.
Yeah. So this will be more for, well, once people start making payments again, this will be more of an adjustment to that program.
Right.
Just kind of redoing the numbers a little bit and making it a little bit more appealing. A big one though is it'll forgive the loan after 10 years of payments, not 20, for balances less than $12,000. So that
And
might
that's
be
across the board, and that's brand new in the income driven, isn't it?
Yeah, it used to be 20, now it's 10. So it cut the time frame in half, which is big. And that's for people with balances less than $12,000. So that might be someone who went to community college, or someone who didn't complete college, or just didn't take out as much student loans as other people. So that's a big boost there. And the big one, I think, one of the biggest ones, is people who are under the income-driven repayment plan will have their interest covered, so their balances won't go up while they're on the income-driven repayment plan. That was one of the things that I kept hearing most about, people complaining after they'd signed up for the income-driven repayment plan. Maybe it was a year later, they're trying to recertify their income and make sure they stay on the plan. They realize, my balance has gone up. Unfortunately, you were accruing interest, and if your payment was zero or something close to zero, you're not even covering the interest. Your balance is actually growing as you're on these plans, and that won't be the case going forward if this all holds. So that could be big. Yeah. So let's go, let's apply, right? My kid loves saying "let's go" for like everything. I don't get it.
Let's go. All the
Yeah,
kids say it.
they all say it, and it's like it's a celebration, it's a motivation, it like fits all kinds of things. So
It sure really does.
so if I'm trying to get him to get ready, I say, "Let's go," and he's like, "No, Dad, that's not how it works." So in less than within the first month of the program being available, 26 million people applied for forgiveness. I don't blame them. If someone was willing to forgive, a huge chunk of money from that I owed, I'd be on it too. I'd have been first one in line if someone was like, "Hey, you want to knock off $20,000 on your mortgage just for fun?" Yeah, sign me up. I'm gonna fill out the paperwork today. So I'm out after Swim Live. I'm like, that's exactly where I'm going. So a lot of people took advantage of that, and they went ahead and applied for that forgiveness. But hold on to that thought, everybody. 2 lawsuits have been made. Well, there's a few others, but 2 lawsuits have been made that have made it all the way to the Supreme Court. September 29th last year, a lawsuit was filed by 6 states, and I won't go all this over the states, but they allege that the debt relief is, quote, is not remotely tailored to address the effects of the pandemic or federal student loan borrowers as required by the HEROES Act, the main part of it. So they're saying it's not a valid thing. The president didn't have, the administration didn't have the authorization to do it. And then there was another one. It was 2 plaintiffs, 2 individuals who said that it gonna affect them negatively because the forgiveness amount, and they didn't get a Pell Grant, and they weren't getting the same treatment as everyone else. There's a lot of legalese speak to all these, but they've made it to the Supreme Court, and they are both going to be reviewed at the end of this month, I think on the 28th. So we'll hear back. Obviously, the Supreme Court, it's not like you see on TV court cases where 30 minutes later in a commercial break or 2, you get an answer, but they will be hearing this and they will be making a decision, and then that will have effects one way or another on student loans. So now what? We wait. Whether you're for student loan forgiveness or against it or somewhere in between, we all just wait.
Well, I'm going to guess you're against it if you've already paid off your loans. You're for it if you've got a lot of loans to pay for. And it's understandable. It's human nature, right? I mean, that's something that none of us like hanging over our head. So now it's just a waiting game.
Right. So we just wait and we wait for the Supreme Court to hear arguments, and we wait for them to make a decision, which can take a while. And then we'll go from there. I'm sure there'll be an appeal one way or another. So we might have to wait some more. So in the meantime, because you haven't made student loan payments in a while, if you have federal student loans, Do you make payments? Well, not yet. You gotta get ready because it's coming. You gotta adjust that budget at some point or another. 60 days after the Department of Education is allowed to start debt cancellation or the litigation is resolved, you'll start payments, or 60 days after June 30th, whichever comes first.
I'm going to bet June 30th. That's just me.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm not a law person, but if I had to pick one, I would say 60 days after June 30th.
So yeah,
Get
I'd look
ready
at
to
that
do your
date
student
very
loans.
closely.
That is, of course, unless, like it has been by both this administration and the one before, if it's extended. And you know, at some point, you got to get ready to pay back those student loans. So 60 days, you do get that 60-day notice though when the payments do start back up. So that is definitely a benefit. But you just be ready, have your budget ready. Whatever you've been doing with that money, it's time to readjust and or get ready to get on an income-driven repayment plan. That 60-day cushion definitely helps with that as well. And that's it. It's a short one. It's a short and sweet. And I think it's because there's so much up in the air. I wish I had the answers. I
Well,
wish.
and this is about as simplified as you can make it because it's a very complicated subject. And you could get very deep and into the muddy waters. And that is not something that, well, one, that this broadcast is meant for. And two, people don't want to necessarily get that far into the weeds. They just need to know where we stand today. And that was the purpose of this.
Yeah. So quick, easy. We're waiting. You know, that's the history behind it. We'll see what the administration gets past the Supreme Court, what the Supreme Court's decision is, and you know, really want to emphasize, just be ready because those payments are coming. And you know, whether it's 60 days from whenever the decision is made or 60 days from, you know, it was the end of June, so August sometime. Be ready, prepare your budgets, and you know, it's definitely a coming. We have someone, and you know, short, sweet presentation again. And as always, you can continue learning. We have our podcast, new episodes coming soon. You can catch them on our website. You can catch them wherever you get your other favorite podcasts. And then join us in 2 weeks. It won't be as short a presentation as this one, I promise. Recession and credit card debt. March 1st, in 2 weeks, for a new episode of Swim Live. You can always catch this recording afterwards on social media, on YouTube, and on our websites.
Yeah. Every single one of these live webisodes or shows are recorded and they are put there for your viewing pleasure.
Perfect. All right. That is it. Thank you, everybody. I will stop sharing and
Thanks, everybody.
stop recording, and I'll take questions if anyone joined in late.